Welcome back to Ion Radio. I'm John, and today's a special episode of the Backseat Admiral. If you're in chat, let me know if the sound sounds good. I'm just going to keep talking. Today is August 11th, 2022, and just came back from Gencon 2022, and I'm going to do a tournament report on my fleet, how all my events and games went, and the outcome of the event overall. So welcome to the stream. Got a lot to talk about. I have my list to talk about. I'm going to go over all 6 of my opponents' lists, and then I took pictures in between pretty much all the rounds so I can explain to you guys exactly what went down. Thank you very much. Spoiler for those that you didn't know. I ended up winning the tournament, so I'm super excited about that. I did not expect to win. I honestly didn't even expect to make it into day 2, and as we talk about how the event went, you'll understand why that's a thing. Also, shout out to Dan. He's from our local meta. He told me that my sound for my intro and my outro for this have been too loud, so I tried adjusting it. So, Dan, if you're out there, let me know if this sounds better for you instead of blasting your ears apart. So, I can see we have Alien Keeper, Double Luck, D Danger 07, Maxwell Silver, and James Blackburn here. Yes, I do get to talk about Ken's fleet, because you know what's super exciting is to drive 3+ hours away to a tournament when you've only played like 7 different people in the last almost 2 years to face the person that you play the most in your life. So, oh man, so that was actually kind of demoralizing to start. Not that I don't like facing Ken, I just didn't want to face him there. Yeah, that was just something. Thank you very much. Thanks for the congratulations. Let's get to it. I also have pictures. We took a couple cool pictures during the tournament. We met a lot of people. Gencon 2022, I brought a variation of the fleet that I just recently released a video on and talked about in the Chicago Open. It is a Starhawk farming fleet. I was actually talking with people on Discord earlier today about the different iterations of Starhawks that we've seen since tournaments really started back up. And let's start back at Adepticon. And you saw what I would like to refer to as the Hate Hawks. Hate Hawks can be either Starhawk 1s or Starhawk 2s. Typically they're 2s. And they have on them the local fire control. And what that allows you to do is with Agate, you can take a double brace, a double redirect, and a double salvo. And if you attack it, they like brace it and redirect to reduce damage. And then they salvo you back. They hate you. And then they attack you. So that's where I got the hate term from. I believe the first time I heard that was from Jack. He's a Chicago player, very good player. And I believe he coined the phrase hate hawk. That's a hate hawk. The next thing it evolved into is what I refer to as farm hawks. And you see that a lot over in the Texas meta. I believe Kelorn is the one that you see fly it a lot, which was super frustrating. I've actually been talking to him about this before. I'm like, I wanted to drop the farming on people unexpectedly at Gen Con, and he dropped it already earlier, so then I had to deal with that. That was kind of annoying, but it's a good list. And if you want to win a tournament, this makes all of it on your opponent to figure out how to win it. And it's just on you then not to lose, because you're just going to farm tokens or get into a fist fight that you should be able to win because you're a giant big ship that can bully people around. So my Hawk, I always wanted to have greater than 10 points bid because I'm a farming build and I would really like second place. It's slow, so it doesn't necessarily do well at first place or first player, you know. So I'd like to go second. And then with the emergence of all these Starhawk builds and things like that, I needed a way to be able to kill other Starhawks and kill them quickly. That's where I came up with boarding troopers. So I've always been a fan of boarding troopers. I've used to play Sloane and that Poison of Boarding Troopers Avenger in the past and enjoyed it. I've done Radis drops with boarding troopers. Boarding troopers is amazing. On a Starhawk is not something you normally see, but the only way to really table me is to kill the Starhawk. So more than likely, you're going to have to end up in close range at some point. And if you choose my objective of advanced gunnery, I will flip all your tokens, and then I will attack you twice out my front arc into you, which usually can kill a ship straight out. So there's that. So mine is like the boarding trooper hawk. It's still a farm hawk, but it's a boarding trooper hawk. It's kind of different. So that's it. So let's quickly talk about what the event was. The event actually ended up being a smaller event than what we would have liked it. There was 33 people that were signed up on the tabletop TO, but only 31 people showed up, so they made the decision to make day 1 3 rounds instead of 4. So I was actually fine with this because 4 rounds is kind of brutal, and it would have meant we were going to be there until like 9 o'clock. Day 2, they were going to do a top 8 cut, and then day 2 was going to be 3 rounds, and that had a hard end point, not because of AMG or whoever was running the tournament, but because of Gencon. We had to be done and out by 4, which is crazy to try to get 3 games done before 4. So that day we started at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So like being there till 9 and then being back by 7 was going to be really, really difficult. So I was actually pretty happy with just the 3 rounds in each day. Let's see. I wrote down some interesting stats about the 31 players, and let me pull it up for us. So, out of the 31 players, 14 of them were Imperial, 11 of them were Rebel, 4 of them were GAR, and 2 of them were CIS. So I was one of the 11 Rebel players, and over the course of the event, I played 5 other Rebels. So that means I played through half of the available Rebel pool that I could face. My list does not necessarily do well against MSU just because of the way you can just swarm me. And MC30 specifically are a bane to my existence because they can go literally twice as fast as me, outrun me, and outmaneuver me. And there were only 4 lists that had MC30s, and I played 3 of them. So that's really, really not what I wanted, but it is what it is. What's weird, so out of 31 players, there were actually 15 different commanders, which is kind of nuts. We're going to go into more depth with that with the next command stack episode, but I figured I would just get that out there so then people kind of can see where it is. There were no double onagers in the field, which is something that I was worried about because double onagers can shoot through me and kill me. There were actually only 4 onagers overall, and only one of them made it to day 2, which is my friend Nick. He was able to make it to day 2 with his onager list. I believe he took 2nd place. So let's check out my list. So this list is just a variation of the Chicago list. I really didn't want to go out to the Chicago event with what I was going to bring to Gen Con because I knew it was going to be a bidding war for 2nd place because this is a farm list, and I just would rather it be kept secret. So I ran that one at like 392 points. In this one, I changed some things around, and I got myself down to 389 for an 11-point bid, which meant that I had to bid on every single person except, I believe, 2 people in the tournament, which would have been Ryan's Radis drop, and then later on you'll see Jason's Akbar MSU list, which is just brutal. So here's the list. It is a Starhawk Battleship Mark II with Krista Agate. Krista Agate is just so powerful. She's cheap. She allows you to take an additional defense token, and then she has the ability of, when you attack me, it's a discard ECM. I choose a token, I discard it, I get its effect, beautiful. So you can't really ever lock down my brace. I have 2 of them, so you need 2 accuracies, and then I'll just chuck it anyway. Whale Explicit then can get me that brace back so I can sustain a ton of damage, because theoretically throughout this game then I have 3 unaccuracyable braces. Nuts. Expert Shield Tech, I have 2 redirects because of the Unity title, so I can cancel damage if I'm attacked by fighters. And when I'm attacked by a big blow, let's say you attack me for, we'll make it up, 6 damage. That seems reasonable. A lot of times you can have 6 damage. I brace it to 3. I spend the redirect to Expert Shield Tech, and then I take 2 damage. So what's really brutal about this is you need 5 damage to make me take 2 damage with me spending tokens. Because if you get 4, I brace it to 2, I redirect with Expert Shield Tech, I take 1. So 3 damage or less if I do the brace and I do the redirect and I take no damage. It's really, really hard to do damage to the ship. Then boarding troopers, which is what I was talking about earlier. You come into me, close range, wham. I take 3 of your tokens and I spend them. Hopefully by that point I've already salvoed you, so then some of them are spent and I can just shuck them out. But the idea here is that most of the time, something that's going to run, you might get 1 shot at. And if it's at close range, that shot is really, really going to count. So a lot of times, like Starhawks in a mirror match will just end up like ramming and facing each other. If I can get rid of your defense tokens, I can kill you faster. If an onager is in front of me and they land and then they plan the next turn to scoot away, I can just spend all of their defense tokens in one go, and then I attack them. And if they've chosen advanced gunnery, I'm probably going to kill it. I can throw 8 dice at it twice, and you're really only going to get effects of your defense tokens once. Kaboom, you dead. So that's why I have it there. It's like that makes it very, very difficult for you to choose which objective, because you don't want to choose advanced gunnery against it. So that pushes you toward my farming objectives, which is what I want to do anyway. I have point defense ion cannons just to stay alive a little bit longer against close range things and fighters. Sometimes if you really want, I'll just let you attack my Starhawk with your fighters, then my fighters are off killing you. Link turbo laser towers, re-rolling dice is awesome. Honestly, I only had like 1 really, really bad roll in this tournament, and it was from the front of my Starhawk into a ISD. I think I had all blue dice were accuracies. I had 2 red blanks, which I rolled back into blanks. The black was a blank, and then I had like 2 hits on the red dice. So it was like 2 damage, every block, everything. So it kind of helps, but you can use it to help kill fighters. And then the Unity, if you're not engaged with something that's heavy, allows you to re-roll a dice, and then it has red flags, so the Link Turbo Laser Towers can re-roll that. So I have like multiple re-rolls when I decide to flak, which will come up in the first game we play. So that's kind of that Starhawk. And that Starhawk is meant to be super, super tanky to keep me on the board because it's my only ship. And then have enough firepower with boarding troopers and things like that, that when we actually get face-to-face, I should have an advantage and be able to kill you off. I have a medium transport with Adar Talon. I have multiple things that would like to go twice. Lando and VCXs. I use basically them to go twice. To control tokens, to kill things. My next ship is Ahsoka and parts resupply. So the reason I have parts resupply here is I want my medium transport to do something, which is either take navs itself so it can adjust its speeds, to control squadrons, and if I had ComsNet on it, it actually wouldn't be doing anything. It would just be taking a token and passing it over, taking a token and passing it over. Well, with Ahsoka and parts resupply, I can do that pretty much anytime I want. So the idea is, let's say the first turn, it doesn't matter what command I do, her ship takes a token, I take parts resupply, and I give one to my Starhawk, and I give one to my other transport. Now I have a token on both of them, and Ahsoka can change those tokens to be whatever I want. And then just as I go through refreshing it, I basically give my Starhawk 3 different tokens, and with Ahsoka I can make them be whatever I want. Like, I can just make it be a squadron so I can use boarding troopers. And that's really it. That's all the tokens I really need is those 5 spread out so I can have speed control on my Adar Talon so he can keep doing what he wants to do. Or I have like engineering and squadrons and navigate all on my Starhawk. Nice nifty package, and my transport can still do what it wants. Fighters. I have Lando, who I talked about it in my Chicago Open, and I'll talk about it again today. But with Adar Talon against a transport, his dice can't be modified, so I go in and I double tap him with his special ability because he's a 7-point squadron. It's hard to kill him regardless. And I will trade him for a flotilla or a small base ship or whatever I can get the damage on. It doesn't really matter. 2 points of damage is 2 points of damage. It's great. Shara is just there to lock down really other players' squadrons because you don't really want to attack her. 3 counter and it's basically automatically damage is brutal. I have 4 YT 2400s just as my rogues to move them around. Black dice against ships, very consistent. And then I have 2 VCX 100s for token control because I'm a farming list. And right here you will see my objectives. Advanced gunnery, I've been talking about that. Get to shoot twice. It helps prevent salvoing from the enemy player if they put it on one of their ships because they can't attack from the same hull zone to a hull zone they've already attacked. So I attack my front into your front. And if you decide to salvo back, well, guess what? You can't attack me any longer. Perfect. Firing lanes, I can get theoretically 45 points per turn. Beautiful. And then the VCXs allow me to move them around to control where they are. And then I can throw them under the opponent's ship when they get close, which we'll take a look at when I get to that game. And then Sensor Net. If you want me to just sit on my side of the board and farm tokens, I will play Sensor Net all day long. You will see that too. That's day 2. We play a lot of Sensor Net. So over the course of this tournament, we actually played all of my objectives, and I was first player once. So I got kind of the full spectrum of this fleet. So I'm going to check out chat. If you guys have any questions on the event or questions on my fleet, questions on anyone else's fleet, or how a certain game went, post it up in the chat. I know Ken's in the chat, and he'll be more than happy to talk with you guys too. So I'm going to check that real fast, and then we'll come back and we'll get to the first game. Let's see. No, I did not play Krabic. We do have a picture. I'll show that at the end of the stream. Ken and I took some pictures with some other people that were there. At the end of round 2, we had a really good talk. I think it was myself, Ken, Ben, aka Downsize It, Krabic, Tim. It's weird when people kept calling him Tim and everyone knows him as Krabic. It's just this weird thing in person when you have like Discord names and YouTube names, and then you have real names, and then you have like what people look like in real life, trying to blend all those together. It's funny. We had a lot of people come up and say hi to us. I was a lot of focus, so I don't think I was rude to anyone, but if I was, I'm sorry. I was very focused in on the matches. It was great to meet you. Ken and I gave away pretty much all of our range 1 rulers that we came to give away to different people. So we gave a lot of those away to people that came up to us and said hello. So hopefully people get a lot of enjoyment out of those and use them in their games. Krabic ran. Yeah, his list almost took down a Starhawk. I'm not sure what round the turn it ended on, but if he had like one more turn, he was like 2 damage away from killing it, which is pretty impressive. Ken is here. Sounds like the 2 days were grueling. Armada, SEAL team, Hell Week. Yeah. 2-day tournaments are brutal, especially when they're 4+ rounds per. Hi, John. If you had to change up your squad choice, what would you have chosen? I don't know if I would, because this fleet isn't designed to necessarily command its squadrons. Like, I have elements that can command it, but this isn't meant to be a fully commanded squadron ball. I used to run it more like, if you go check out the command stack, not command stack, you should check out the command stack. That's our podcast. the latest episode, the new series that Ken and I started, which is High Ground, which we put like the top two from a tournament against each other. You see Mackenzie's fighter package that I played there. And I used to play more like that before the ace limit really struck in. I had a bunch of aces. I had Hera to pass out Rogue. And I had a really, really mean, like, Rogue ball. And that does really, really well at like killing squadrons and then trying to bomb. But if they're able to prevent you from bombing, it really neuters you, because the objective suite that you would run with that would be like superior positions in fighter ambush and fighter objectives. And that doesn't score you anywhere near as many points as this package. Like, that's better if you want to go first or second. But this list specifically is designed to use the VCXs, and my fighters kind of screen them so I can play my token games in the back corner, so that I win. So I don't necessarily think I would change the squadrons. You can see I will be going over 2 other people's Starhawk lists, and you can see how they have their squadrons, so that might give you a good answer there. Okay. Thanks for saying hi, and I hope you enjoy the episode later. So, my first opponent is someone that you might have heard of before, and that is Ken from Ion Radio. This was the first time I saw him in a while, like, the last 5 minutes, and we were paired up with each other first, which is super, super frustrating. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I think I probably played maybe 7-ish people besides Ken in the last year, and that's just because of pandemic, baby, moving, all sorts of things like that. So to go to a tournament of 31 people and get paired against him in the first round was just brutal, because like we both know each other's lists, and like he's playing his list that he's played lots of times before, and I've played it lots of times before. And it's just kind of bleh. So we played each other. He was using his new Riken list. So thank you very much for the donation, James. Thanks, guys, for the Champions Dinner. We really appreciate it. Thanks for the donation. Okay, so Ken's Kraken list. This is version like 5 or 6 or 7. This is one of his favorite lists. So he also has a new version that he'll drop probably soon. He has his flagship. General Kraken is on a CR-90 Corvette A with expert shield tech and turbo laser reroute circuits, which is just a good ship in general. And then, honestly, in the command stack, Ken will be talking about this, but he ran his MC-30s differently than everyone else is running them, and he'll explain why in that, but he doesn't run them with titles. And he said that it was really just a point sink, and he didn't necessarily feel that it was necessary to run them with the titles. And he didn't lose any of them, I believe, in any of the matches that he ever played during this weekend. So he might be right about that. His first one has Major Durlin, Ordnance Experts, Advanced Projectors, and External Racks. His second one has Lando, Ordnance Experts, Advanced Projectors, and External Racks. Cheap, simple, to the point. He has 2 GR75s, or Lando Bait as I like to call them. They have Torn Far, Boosted Comms, and Bright Hope. And then he has a second one with Munitions Resupply and Boosted Comms. And there, while the MC-30s and the CR-90 are off trying to kill ships, these are pushing his squadrons. His squadrons include Hera, Biggs, and I believe 4 X-Wings. Yep, 4 X-Wings. And then his objectives are Precision Strike, Fighter Ambush, and Dangerous Territory. So that's pretty much what he has there. Let's check out how the game went. So, here we go. He chose Advanced Gunnery, mainly because he had to practice against me when I was using my other objectives, and that equals a 10-1, so he didn't want to get 10-1 on the first round. So he chose Advanced Gunnery, was going to try to snipe some of my squadrons, and then fly away. That was his plan. It's a good plan. That's usually how you beat this, is you do that. And or not really beat it. You just kind of smurf it into the ground because it needs to score big, and when you don't allow it to score any points, then it's just a sad game. So here's his setup and my setup, and at the end of round 1, I thought this guy and my guys would be able to just be in range of his fighters, and they're just not. So I'm going to feed this squadron right to him. Delicious. Here, have a YT 2400. His ships are moving around. I'm going to move my fighter ball and try to take out his fighter ball as fast as possible, and then see if I can, kill off any of these ships for some bonus points. Here we go. Fighters are engaged, but it's an advanced gunnery flak boat now. I don't need to shoot at ships. There's no way that this is going to die. I know that if I don't kill off all of his fighters, my squadron ball with his double rerolls on his dice are going to be getting very, very damaged and trading points to him, which I don't want to do. I don't want to give any points to Ken. So as of this moment right here, Ken's actually up 16 points on me because he killed that YT 2400. So I need to catch up because I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose to Ken in the first round of a tournament. That would be brutal. I just don't want to lose. So I spent my turn flacking his squadrons, and I may have had the absolute best luck I've ever had in my entire life flacking. Also, this is super frustrating. I left both of these on 1 from my Alpha Strike in. Could have killed Hera. Could have killed this X-Wing. Did not. Left him at 1 health. So I had the best luck I've ever had flacking, and I think I got every single time 3 damage, which means that, Biggs doesn't really pass damage around because you're taking 3 damage every time. So after this, the board's very, very different. I've killed off all of his squadrons, and during this last stage, I ended up moving my... I had to attack and kill that X-Wing so that Lando was free, because Lando was just pinned down by one of these X-Wings, and then I did that juicy Lando double discard, your tokens, into his flotilla, killing it. He took some big shots into me with his MC30, because who cares? I don't even know if I salvoed back, honestly, because I'm not going to really be attacking this. It's going to be so far gone at speed 4, I won't be able to kill it, because he can just activate that first and keep it alive. I could shoot it, he moves here, he activates it, it's gone. So I might as well not do that, and I might as well just try to focus down another flotilla. I kill his other flotilla, and then at this point you can see he's not going to get to me. I'm not going to get to him, so I pull all of my stuff back, and I'm going to just sit here and write it out, because at this point I don't have enough turns to chase him down, because all of his stuff's going speed 4, and he doesn't have enough turns to get close enough to kill my flotillas or my Starhawk. So, yeah, this is pretty much it, and you can see, oh, look at this, we're moving around the table. It doesn't really matter. So, I end up winning by an MOV of, let me pull it up. I actually have it on my phone, so then I can actually tell you guys. I end up winning by an MOV of 100 and, I believe 36. Yes, so I scored 168 points. Ken scored 32 for killing 2 of my YT 2400s. And I win by 136 points, which is 4 points short of an 8-4. So I got a 7-4 there. So I won. And Ken kind of did too, because this is the best he's ever done against this list. So good job for Ken. A lot of times, he was having to suffer through me practicing and choosing my other objectives so I could farm. And it was brutal. So this was actually a really good game for him against this list with that list. So hats off to Ken for doing well on that. So that's game 1 down. Frustrated because we had to face each other. Never fun to face the person that you rode in the car with, and never fun to face the person that you drove all the way there with, or you've played the most. So, yeah. So I'm going to go back to chat, and I'll get ready for the next fleet, round 2, day 1. Did you go up against any Rebel Providences? I did not. I don't know if there were any Rebel Providences. I'm sure there were. I would have to go through the list. That's not something specifically that I was looking for when I was grazing through the list. I mainly was looking for like MC-30s, Starhawks, and Onagers, because all those things are poison. John, it was such a surprise to play a game against you, right? Yeah. Ooh, pictures. Yes, I have pictures of pretty much every single round, every single tournament round too. So I'll be able to show you guys exactly what took place. And yes, Ken was winning for 2 turns because of that stupid YT-2400 before I obliterated all of his fighters with the Starhawk. Yeah, 1 health, man. Every single time I leave things on 1 health. Super annoying. Victory's mine. I wasn't tabled. That is true. Ken deploy squadrons. John, what squadrons? They were on the table for a little bit. On the X-Wing side of things, without fail, my son and I ended up playing each other in round 1 in almost every tournament. Oh, that's so frustrating. Earlier today, I mentioned Jack. He was the one that coined, I believe, the phrase hate hawk. Every single time we went to a tournament, it would be round 1 that we faced each other. So I ran into him because he was at Gencon just hanging out with friends and doing board game stuff. And he came up to me and was like, how's it going? And I'm like, I faced Ken round 1. And he's like, oh, that's the worst. He's like, usually we face. I'm like, the only reason I didn't face you was because Ken was here and you weren't in the tournament. Otherwise, I would have 100% faced Jack too. So that's just the way things work out. So it stinks, though, when you're facing your own kid, though. That's brutal. Okay, so let's jump into round 2. So at this point, I only have 7 tournament points. Yeah, no, we were not joking. William says, thought you guys were joking when it was Ken round 1. No, sadly, we were not. So in round 2, I faced John, or Claudius 16309. He ended up 21st overall, and he was my second opponent. Here's another MC30 list, my favorite. So he has 2 MC30 scouts with Akbar, Intel Officer, Ordnance Experts, External Racks, and Turbo Laser Reroute Circuits with Foresight. The other one is just all the non-unique stuff. Then he has, very similarly to Ken, he has a GR75. It has Tauren, Comsnet, Bright Hope, and then a GR75 Slicer Tool. His squadron ball is a bunch of rogues. He has Dash, Lando, Ketsu, Rogue Squadron, Gold Squadron, and a YT-2400. So, and his objectives were most wanted. Even if I were to consider going first, I would never choose this. The Starhawk would melt so fast. Capture the VIP and Solar Corona. So, nothing good for me here. I have the bid. He had a 7-point bid. 11. Bids win. So, yeah, that's his list. It would actually be pretty good at killing like other large ships, but not necessarily the Starhawk. So this is our deployment. It looks a lot like the same deployment as last time because it's practically going to be the same game. He chose Advanced Gunnery, and he put the Advanced Gunnery on his non-flagship MC-30, and I obviously have it on my Starhawk. And this is the setup. And then he runs away. Everything runs the entire time. I'm going to go pretty fast through this game because there's really not much to talk about. Unlike turn 3, he's like, I'm so sorry. There's nothing I can do against your Starhawk, so I'm just going to run and take the 5-6. I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I figured. So I am stretching my fighters out a little bit farther in front of me because hopefully I can catch one of his fighters, or he decides to attack my fighters, then my Starhawk can come in and flak again. That was kind of my goal, to like bait him into it. Doesn't necessarily work, but what he does do is when he's going this way, he has Rogue Squadron. It was here. I deleted it. Right here to protect me from bombing into his MC-30. Otherwise, obviously, I would be bombing into his MC-30. So I pin it down and I kill off Rogue Squadron right there. Yay! I'm barely winning. And then seeing this ship, I expect this ship to either go into this bottom corner or try to cut across here. So my Starhawk now is pointed back toward my edge because I need to get there. And there we go. And as I guessed, he was going to cut down here. So up here, I have pinned now with Shara a YT-2400 with my YT-2400 and Shara. So this is engaged right here. The rest of my stuff is still free to go. So I have relay range to my fighters. And here's the ship. So I start doing very, very, very little damage. Like 1 point here, 1 point there on this thing. Barely anything with all these attacks. Like my dice, Lando, I think barely did anything unless I was setting dice. He's just chilling in his co-pilot. He's like, "Hey, my cost of a hit is a token. You have no more tokens? I can't do any hits for you." But I have him nicely double arced, so that means he has to go first with this ship. Otherwise, I'm going to blast it apart with my front. So he moves it down the side of the board. I get a nice double shot with advanced gunnery into him. I make him spend out his tokens. And at this point, he has, because of Lando and double tapping and tossing the tokens and everything, right now he has 0, 0, 0, 3 shields, and 2 hull, and only a redirect and an evade left. So on his turn, he activates that first because, you know, he doesn't want to die. And he redirects, or he repositions his 3 shields to 1 on the front, 1 on the side, and 1 on the rear. And then one of the worst set of rolling that I've ever had in Armada takes place. Why does it want to go to this picture? Is this the last one I have? Maybe. Yeah, okay. So basically what happens is this ship moves to about here, and then all of these squadrons swarm it. So I have 1, 2, 3 YT-2400s attack it. Lando twice. No tokens, so it's just whatever he rolls, misses. And then 2 VCXs come down to attack it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 dice attack it. I need 4 hits. 4 hits kills it. I roll with the YTs. A hit. He has me re-roll it with his evade. Miss. I have another YT attack it. He has me re-roll it. Hit. Take it to the shields. And then the rest of everything misses. Not a single hit. So it survives. It being the advanced gunnery ship meant that if I were to have killed it, I would have gotten an 8-3. But I did not. So we traded out our YT-2400s. And I won by Rogue Squadron. Technically, it's a win. It didn't feel like a win because I was chasing him down the entire time. And then this catastrophe of dice for 2+ turns not doing any damage against him. Super frustrating, but it's technically a win. And so now I have 6 points. It was barely a win, so I'm pretty low on the scoreboard, sitting at 13 points right now. I'm pretty sure that I won't be making it into day 2 because I would need like an insane like 10 to win the next round. And then I would need players not to do well at also because there's a lot of players sitting at like the 14 through 16 point range. So if the 16 point players get even like a 6, I'm pretty much out of it. So like I was looking at the score, I'm like, whatever, I'll just play the next round, see what happens, and then go from there. I wasn't expecting to make it, mainly because I had just basically 2 players run for me. Impossible to score points. So I'm going to look back at the chat, see if you guys have anything else to say while I get set up for the next match. Okay. Thought you guys were joking. No? Ooh, more pictures. Fantastic. Yeah, I have pictures for everything. So don't worry. You guys will actually be able to visualize what took place in all of our games. Ken, William, nope, 100% true. Yeah, super frustrating. Okay. So let me exit out some of these. Okay. Let's do it. We're on to round 3 of day 1. And in this round, I face Steve. And Steve is one of the locals from the Chicago meta. So I face 2 Chicago people if you count Ken, which is kind of funny in a match of 31 players. And Steve is running like what a lot of the Chicago meta runs, which is a double ISD, which is actually really, really, really bad for me because double ISD actually has enough firepower to sprint across the board and kill my Starhawk. So I have to take this one pretty seriously because it could melt everything of mine. So he has a Simoon, which differs from a lot of the double ISDs that you saw me face in the Chicago Open. So the Simoon actually scares me more because it's way better at killing flotillas, and it has longer range dice so that it might be able to contest the contested outpost. Or not the contested outpost, contest the firing lanes. So that has me worried. That's more dice at longer range, faster, which means that I have to be very careful with how I position my VCXs and the tokens to score. So you have a Simoon with Ozzel. Ozzel is a Chicago favorite. It is Minister to us, so you can get the ECM so it survives and doesn't immediately just die. Intensify firepower. Gunnery teams, reserved hangar deck, spinal armament, and XI7s. All good things for killing me. Then he has an Imperial 2 with Riva, so she can get her defense tokens back. So that's actually really bad, because that's kind of a counter to me trying to shoot off the brace with boarding troopers. Gunnery teams, electronic countermeasures, leading shots, XI7s, and Relentless. Then he has a Gazanti with munitions resupply and suppressor. So I'm like, suppressor's bad. Lando, you have a mission. Your mission is to kill that. And then he has 4 TIE interceptors. And those TIE interceptors, one of them can come back because theoretically then he has 5 with reserve hangar. So I have some squadrons that are long range that I need to pin down so they can't come in and mess up my VCX shenanigans. And he has a lot of firepower coming in on me, so I have to be careful in my positioning so that I can time it right, that I can move forward and engage him so it's beneficial toward me. So that's the fleet, and here is how the match goes. I didn't take a picture of round 1, but I can pretty much explain. You can pretty much figure out where everything is. He has this gorgeously painted Star Destroyer here. It looks really good, nice decaling. And then he has his Ukrainian Star Destroyer here, which is also pretty cool. So he started here, speed 3. He started here, speed 3. Gazanti over here, also speed 3. Fighters moved over here. The tokens I had about here spread out, and then I pulled them all back with Adar Talon and my VCXs. So I have them double arced primarily with my Starhawk, and my Starhawk's going speed 0. I can't afford to go speed 0 at this because I know he won't be able to shoot me until turn 3. Which is great because I don't necessarily need to kill him. All that I need to do is stay alive. And because all I need is stay alive, every single turn I can get, 45 points of tokens with firing lanes. So the longer I can stay alive, the better. I don't want him to be shooting me, so I'm going to stay back. He goes first in the next round, and he moves the Gazanti to about here, and I'm like, perfect, time to activate. And you can probably guess what I threw over there. I threw Shara up here to lock down all of his TIE interceptors, because interceptors hate Shara because she just can kill him outright with the counter. And then Lando does his thing with Adar and shoots the thing and kills it. So that's gone. But if you look here, my transports are in lots of danger because the Simoon's going to come in. It can just one-shot my thing. This guy's going to move in. It can one-shot it too. So all of my transports are in a lot of danger. And that's what it's going to look like. Look how dangerous this is. This thing has a double arc on it. The Simoon has it in medium range. It dead, yo. It dead. So at this point, this is what I talk about when I talk about moving tokens under someone. So with the VCXs, I can basically move a token medium range. So as soon as you move into range that you can start contesting the tokens, I'm going to throw them forward and I'm going to put them under your ship. So these tokens here we don't even count up dice. They're automatically mine. And now my ships are on the station. So even if he had free interceptors, he can't pin them. I can just stay on the station and I can shift these tokens around wherever I need them, whenever I need them. That's why the station's there, or obstacles directly around it, so that I can move the tokens from here. So I have this one double arced, so that's safe. So 6 at long range, 4. I think this might be medium range, but whatever. It's obstructed, so it's 1 less. So we're exactly tied on this token. No one scores it. But these tokens, they're mine. And then next turn, I can just take this and throw it there. I remained at speed 0 on this turn because this is an obstructed front range shot with 3 dice. Do your worst. I'm a super tank. That's kind of my opinion. And that's the type of risk I calculate and try to take when I'm using the Starhawk list, is I will just sit there and I'll take a free shot from you, and then I would activate the next turn. Doesn't really matter. I have enough health that at this point I could just tank it. Even if you, like the last Chicago Open, the guy did 6 damage to me on 4 dice with red dice, and I took it, and I still survived. So at this point, I'm pretty comfortable at sitting at speed 0 and taking at least 1 long-range shot. I hold the token. I give him the station to land on, which you'll see is how he did a lot of damage to me. But, like, it doesn't matter. I'm about to clean up all of the squadrons, and all my squadrons are going to start eating into these ISDs. And then I have still enough room that I can position myself to try to get a double arc. So that's all I need to do to try to kill these. Now we're in close into a brawl. And as you can see, we just stacked it on top just for ease, and then I would place it on there. But all the tokens are now 100% mine until the game's done because they're under his ships. This ship went first, evaporated that transport. Shocker. And then landed here. Sadly, it is in a double arc, just barely, and this ship, when it activated, it rammed and then fell back, rammed, and then fell there. So he's still farther in close, which is frustrating because then I can't boarding troopers that guy, and then I don't get a black dice, and it's still obstructed right now. So here's the thing. He moved his squadron here, and I plan on just shooting it and trying to kill it off in the next couple of rounds. This is my one bad roll for the tournament. It is 4 blue accuracies and a red accuracy and a blank that I rerolled into a blank and a blank and then a crit hit. So that was a super, super successful front attack into that ISD. And I think that was right after I boarding troopered it too. So it was like, okay, cool. That was exciting. I'm so glad all those card combos worked together. But I did kill it, and now we are at close range, just shooting each other. He's trying to flak my squadrons down. I'm sitting here, just moving tokens under him. I've killed off all of his squadrons. This guy can just peace out the rest of the turn. I have him double arced. I'm salvoing on my attacks, so this is round. He survives another round, so we're just ramming each other. He's healing, I'm not. I think he got me up to like 9 damage on my Starhawk and pretty much all my shields stripped, which is scary because that's the only thing holding me on the table. And then I end up killing it on round 6 and then scoring all the points. So I scored 17 tokens to his 0. He killed my transport. And so let me see what the score was. So it was 255 points of tokens for me, 400 for his ships. He scored 45 through killing transports and other stuff. I think he killed a YT 2400. Not positive on that. So difference of 610. So it's a 10-1 in my favor. I still don't think I'm necessarily in it. And so my day was done. And that's it for that match. So I just had to wait then for the rest of the matches to finish. And to my shock, I actually ended in 3rd place for that day. Let me pull that up. So here I am, 3rd place. Nick finished 1st. He had 26 points. Nathan finished 2nd with 24 points. And he was playing CIS, so that's always impressive for CIS to do very well. I always like that. I finished 3rd with 23 points. And then remember how I was talking about the field was super, super close down lower? Well, all those matches basically ended in 5s and 6s. So you can see that we have a couple people in 22, a 21, and then we have 4 players at 20 points. So all these players almost made it. So this was decided by MOV, who got into day 2, which is nuts. So our friend and co-host of the command stack, Garrett, also known as Admiral Tater, he placed 7th and got 20 points into day 2. And Ryan, also a co-host of the command stack, had 20 points as well, and they just edged out the other players for MOV, and both of them got into day 2. Sorry, I felt like I was going to sneeze. So that is the tournament as a whole. Ken finished 30th. He had a crazy high difficulty of schedule, 600 or 6.33. So that was a really difficult matchups for him. I think what he said was a lot of people just basically killed off his squadron ball, and then they didn't attack his ships, and he ended up losing the matches, or he would be like one haul away from killing their major ship or things like that. But Ken will discuss that with you guys later. So on to day 2, which I was surprised to make it to. And I was telling Ken right when I woke up, because I was thinking about the different lists, because there was 3 Starhawks, including mine, that made it. A Gar player, who's Garrett, and he's playing Venator Spats. Ryan, who's bringing the I Want to Kill a Starhawk list. Jason, who's bringing the Akbar MSU I'm going to shoot you off the board list. And then Nathan, who's playing the CIS. I haven't really taken a lot of time to look at his list, but it clearly does well. I'm also scared of CIS because they have so many small pockets of red damage that they can kill a Starhawk off pretty easily as well. And then Nick has an Onager. So none of these are really favorable matches for me. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So when I woke up in the morning at ungodly early, it was like 5:30, so 4:30 our time because of time change. And we were out to 11 o'clock having dinner and things like that. So I was pretty tired. I woke up and I told Ken, I'm like, honestly, the best shot I have at this is if I mirror match my way to the top. I need to face in the first 2 rounds both the Starhawks and I'll be fine. Maybe. Yay, guess what? I got to mirror match the Starhawks and get up to the top. So I'm excited about that. So we're going to be starting day 2. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'll take a look, and then I'll start talking about the next fleet and day 2. Day 2, like I was saying, was under an extreme time crunch because of we had to be done and out per Gencon by 4, so that's why we were starting at 7 in the morning. So we were pretty much the only ones in the convention hall at that time, besides people cleaning and getting ready for the day. But but it was an early start, which actually worked out pretty well because we finished decently early and then we could head home. And that was really nice, not to get home at like, 10, 11 o'clock at night, but to be able to get home in a reasonable time. I think we got home at like 8:30, so. Okay, so day 2. I end up facing Rob. Rob is running a variation of what is a farm hawk for that Starhawks, and it is a based heavily off of Kalorn's Starhawk list that you see in like the Texas group. And he cut points to try to get a bid. This is also the Rob of Imperial Starshop that makes those really, really nice mats. So we got to play this on his mat, which I like his mat, so that's cool. And it's also nice just to finally meet him in person because, talking to people on the internet is one thing, but then actually meeting someone in person is really, really nice. So he comes in with a bid of $390. And he actually thought that he had bid on me. So he's like, I asked him what his bid was. He's like, I have 10 points, which means you're probably at 8 or 9. And so we'll play my objectives. I'm like, that Yu-Gi-Oh meme, you've activated my trap card. I'm like, I'm actually 11, so we can play mine. And he's like, no way, how did you do it? So he was kind of shocked that I had bid on him. And that's honestly, the bid is the reason why I won this game. Because we have the same objectives, practically the same fleet. So that's good for me. So he has a Starhawk Battleship Mark II, Agate, Walix, Expert Shields. All looks really familiar, right? He has Caitlin and Sholin to reroll. Like I said, I didn't really need it except for that one last game. The dice came up super, super bad, but like for the most part, if I get advanced gunnery, I don't really want to reroll one small segment of dice. It doesn't really do that much. So that's why I have boarding troopers. It's better for matchups. It's better for killing things off pretty quick. High capacity ion cannons instead of the point defense ion cannons. So this gives you an additional blue dice out the side. I prefer the defense. I'm trying to stay alive. Link turbo laser towers and Unity. So pretty much the same build. Then he has a GR75 medium transport with 8R Talon, and he has a GR75 with CommsNet. And like I was saying in my build, the reason why I don't have CommsNet and I have the parts resupply with Ahsoka is it's easier for me to give out tokens and then have this ship still do something. And when you see this game play out, it's one of the reasons why I win is because I can then command my VCXs to get to where they need to be with commands and still have that ship do things. So, and then my Starhawk still has tokens. So I think that engine part of it and token farming works better for me. He does some interesting things with his squadrons to cut some points here. He has Dash. Dash is really, really good. I prefer not to have them instead of just having extra YT-2400s, just the way I like to fly. Lando, Shara, Rogue Squadron instead of a YT-2400. That saves him 2 points there, which is big when you're in a point bidding war. 1 YT-2400, 2 VCXs, and a Z95. I don't like Z95, so we all know that they don't score any hits with me. Everyone that had a Z95 was talking about how they did like 5-6 damage against squadrons in other games, and I'm like, I'm not touching it. I can't get Lando to roll any hits on his red or blue dice against ships, so I'm not even going to attempt to do it with a Z95. It's not going to work. And then surprise, surprise, same objectives. So let's take a look at this game. This game was a chess match. He put his tokens all the way over here. I did a center because I like doing more of a center deployment just in case they decide that they want to fight. I'm set to fight them. And we're going to play token games. And as you can see, end of turn 1. We've moved around. We're collecting tokens. And he's sitting over here. And I'm sitting over here. And I'm building a defensive wall to protect my VCXs and get all my ships as close as possible together. So then the VCXs barely have to move. He's only able to move these tokens distance 2 away. from me. And as you can see over here, I'm able to move these distance 4 away. So my goal is to try to throw them as far away as possible. And his goal is to try to pull them in. I have an easier time of it. That's why like player 2 has such an advantage in this specific match. So we're obviously playing Sensor Net. And at this point, we're both pretty much speed 0. Token farming. I'm able to get 3 tokens per turn, and he's able to get somewhere between 2 to 1 tokens per turn. So now becomes the math game, right? And I'm able to score, if I get every token that I can, 17 tokens for 255 points with SensorNet. And for the most part, I can pretty much always do that. I'm pretty good at maneuvering to do that. So that's 255 points. Meaning that if he gets less than 3 tokens, I will get a 9-2. He's a better player than that. He has VCXs. He can move them around. So he's going to get more than that. So now we come to the next break point. And that's if he can get 8 tokens, it is no longer an 8-3. It is a 7-4. So that's what we're going to be looking for and going for at this point. So if you choose not to engage me and just let me farm and you get 2 tokens off the beginning and I chuck them off into space, I'm automatically going to get a 9-2. And then it just, every token you get slowly dwindles my score down. So I know that, he knows that, and we're just collecting tokens. At around this point, he realizes that it's going to be really, really close for him to get a 8-3 or a 7-4. And he starts moving his squadrons toward me, which I'm fine with. I will then start positioning mine as a wall because the distance between us, he needs to jump about here. I'll jump out there and stop him from playing with my token farming. So it becomes like this dangerous standoff game. And as you can see, he starts getting closer. I put Shara and I put Lando protecting this transport. They have defense tokens. You're not going to chew through them in like one round. And then I start pulling my YT-2400s behind it. So then I can jump over them to attack whatever he sends there. So everything that he sends to me possibly could get points, but at the same time I can counterattack and get maybe more points. So it's like this standoff. We're still farming, as you can see. And at this point, I think he realizes that he won't be able to stop me, and then like jumping into this is going to be a disaster for him. So he pulls away. And that's going to be the game. Not a single dice was thrown. This was a very like mental chess game of controlling where tokens go, trying to keep them out of the other player's range. And as you can see here, I have 17 tokens. I really should just put 2 more Rebel tokens in here so then I don't have to have the CAS ones. I just always forget. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He had a really good turn here that he got 3 right at the beginning, right at the end. I did a terrible job of, like I did a good job of getting him 1, but then I gave him a position to get 3, which was not good on my part. But we're going to end the game then 7-4. So let me look at the actual score of it. I mean, I could just do the math, but I'm not going to. So I scored 250 points. He scored 150 points. MOV to me, 105. It's a 7-4 win. So I felt pretty good about that. This is what the list does. If I had other sets of objectives, it would be more enticing for him to try to come over and try to kill me. The advanced gunnery with boarding troopers scares off other Hawks from coming in and trying to kill me. Because honestly, like an advanced gunnery, boarding trooper, Hawk, close range, we're gonna rumble. I'm gonna win because I can use my salvo. You can't. You can only attack me once. I'll be attacking you twice, and you'll have no defense tokens. That would be brutal. So basically, you're gonna play a farming game. And if you play firing lanes, you have to get your ship across the map into me and all your fighters, and I'm going to just sit here and wait for you to come, and then I'm going to jump your fighters, and then I'm going to try to get my tokens under you while you're trying to get the tokens under me, and I have a better shot at doing it because I'll have the station on my side. So this is, yeah, Robert's actually in the chat, and he's talking about, the farming meme from Rogue One, and that's 100% what this is. And he says, I felt pretty good about the results too, actually. And they're really good. Farming 10 tokens off of second player, or as first player on CensorNet, is insane. So he did a really, really good job of doing that. I didn't expect him to get 10 tokens. I thought it would be lower, but man, he did a really, really good job of maneuvering them around. Like this game and the next game were so exhausting mentally to play these token, like, moving around shenanigans. And like, you think like actually fighting is less stressful than the token games, because like one slip up, that's 15 points, but it's really a 30-point swing. So yeah, that was a good match. But that was my first Starhawk. The next match is against Ruben, and that's also a Starhawk, and it looks, again, almost identical to the one we just saw. So it's a Starhawk Mark II battleship. It's got Krista Agate. It's got Whalix Blixis. It has Expert Shield Tech. It has Kraken and Sholin. It has high capacity ion. It has Link Turbo Laser Towers and Unity for the exact same reasons that we've seen it already twice. It has 8R Talon. It has this comms net, which again, I think my transport with Ahsoka and parts resupply gets more utility out of it. 8-point bid, so not as much of a bid. I have 11, so I'll take advantage. This list is Dash Rengar, Lando, Shara, 2 YT-2400s, 2 VCXs, and the Z95. So the way Rob got the bid over this list was dropping a YT-2400 and putting in Rogue Squadron, which is actually not a bad drop for the 2 points. Rogue Squadron's distance, so what you're doing is Rogue Squadron is speed 3 compared to speed 4, 1 less health, same anti-fighter, and then it has a red bomber dice instead of a black non-bomber dice for anti-ship. So it kind of trades out decently. What? The exact same list of objectives. So guess what we're going to be doing in this game too? We're going to be farming. And this is Ruben. He has this very, very gorgeous repainted. It has this nice teal to it. Starhawk. I really like the look of this. And you guessed it, we're farming. I'm going to go through this at the same speed as I did the other one. I positioned my ships actually better this one because I just got done playing it. So I make this little like hidey hole for the tokens to go to, and I just set them there, and then I just bounce them around. You know how farming works. Here we go. We're moving. Kind of. Like, we're not technically moving. I'm sitting at speed 0 because the Starhawk's never going to reach my Starhawk. I'm not really moving it anyway. Here we go. We're just farming away. Tokens are coming in. As you can see, I've now cleared this one this time. This is where I did differently. And so this has a better stopping spot. So now I can pull these tokens all the way into here and just leave them here, and there's no way that you're getting them out. Ruben is doing the same thing as Rob is, and he's doing a pretty good job of controlling where the tokens are going. Here's my hidey hole. I hide it here. I just stack them, and then I just keep moving them back to score points. I was able to get the token just far enough away from him one turn that he wasn't able to pull it back in, and that greatly changes the way this scores. And honestly, I think it has to do with his ships are a little bit more spread out than Rob's were. So it was a little bit more difficult for him to pull them back in. Also, this token got nerfed off to the corner on like turn 1, I think, almost. Like, boom, there. And while Rob was able to keep 2 of them kind of in play for longer, I was able to get this one away, and his VCXs were over here, so they weren't going to be able to get to him. So then he was left with only one token to play with, and he kept trying to get that into play. And that, honestly, playing this as first player is extremely, extremely difficult. This is the second game in a row that we don't throw dice. He also, near the end, realizes that he probably needs to try to move over and attack me. I'm starting to form my wall again of fighters to keep you away. And he starts he measured it out. He didn't actually commit to it. He's like, could I do this? And he's like, nah, I can't. So into the game, I have 17 tokens. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He needed one more token, and that was the one turn that I was able to get it just out of his grasp for his YT2400, that he wasn't able to pull it back in. So the end of the game for this one was 155 points for me with tokens, 105 for him, difference of 150, so that's an 8-3. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I've out of this very, very strange, I'm playing a pacifist game, no dice have been rolled. Like, how many people can say that? Like, they're in a tournament, they're technically winning their games, and they're not rolling any dice. It's honestly the best thing that we can ever hope for if you've ever watched me play on the channel, because my dice are terrible. So the less dice that I can roll is actually the better for me. So that's good for me. What's bad for me is the next matchup. So at this point, I'm sitting at like, what is that? 15 points. And there's another player at 15 points. So technically I'm in second by 15 MOV to Jason. And Jason's playing a Akbar MCU list. And I've played him before. And the last time I played him was either at Nova or maybe Worlds. For sure Worlds. Worlds was brutal. He slicer tooled me, so my Sloan fleet couldn't do anything. So I couldn't do squadrons the entire game. And then he made sure that I couldn't nav, so my Star Destroyer just kept like crawling forward through the middle of the map. And he just kept hitting me with APTs from all of his stuff until he was able... He's like, where's the... Because he was Dodana. And he's like, where's the projector missile line? I'm like, please don't pull the projector missile line. Because I have like most of his force in front of me. And he's double APTing me in the rear with his MC30s. And he gets the projector. So all my shields are now gone. And the thing just melts. So he 10-1'd me. Mainly because I couldn't do anything. It was a brutal game. So I know for a fact... he's one of the best MSU players, because I think he placed like top 10, probably top 5 in the last Worlds. And I know this is a list that he plays a lot. So I know that this is enough firepower to kill my Starhawk. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, this would be kind of a brutal end of the run if he kills my Starhawk. Because if he kills my Starhawk, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a 10-1. His way. So that will leave me at 16 points, and everyone else is like sitting in the tournament at like 13 points. I need to place top 4 to get a Worlds invite. So that's not going to happen. That would be a frustrating way to go out on it. So I'm like, I have to just survive. I don't even need to win. I just need to survive, get like maybe 3 points. And that puts me at like 18. So the people, if they lose, that should leave me in the top 4. So it's going to be like really, really close. Like points wise, it's going to be really close. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, Akbar is going to absolutely gut me. So, and I think he has a bid on me. So that's even worse. Like I can't even farm points on him. He's going to farm points on me and then kill me. So I'm going to pull up that match. I'm going to check out chat to see if anyone is there with anything. Looks like Ken signed off. So have a good night, Ken. Robert says the thing about Rogue is that every time it died, a regular YT24 would die as well. I could actually see that. With the 5 versus 6, you would have to get pretty lucky to leave them on just 1 health. So probably you take 2 attacks and then the third kill you, and the third would kill you regardless, and probably the second would kill you regardless too. And if you're mainly using him for like anti-squadron, his red terrible bomber dice probably wouldn't come up. So I actually really like it. When I saw it, I thought it was really cool. That's a great way. I didn't even think about that. Like, I could have done that and gotten 2 more points a bid. But I didn't think about that. So I got to hand it to him. That was a pretty smart move. Jason's here. You flatter me. Only top 16. Well, I don't know. The way you fly it, I know you fly it very, very well. Top 8 at the most recent Adepticon, if we're counting that. I did see you were there too, so I know you're an MSU player. I can't play MSU. So I have a lot of respect for people that are able to maneuver and plan everything. So let's check out his list and then the match. This is the final match of the day for me. So let's switch over to it. He has an MC-30 Scout Frigate with Admiral Akbar. Expert shield tech, turbo laser reroute circuits, and foresight. So if you're counting out the side, that's going to be 2 reds plus Akbar plus a Confire. That's a lot of dice. And then they're automatically, one of them is going to be 2 hits. We'll come back to that. I like expert shield techs on MC-30s because you can just cancel out damage. You get double, like you might as well. So they're pretty much completely immune to fighter damage. And then foresight, it makes it pretty much immune to ship attacks because you can just like cancel out dice if you can stay at long range, which he's really good at doing. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 CR90s, all equipped with turbo laser reroute circuits. So that's a lot of damage. One of them has Ahsoka, same basic idea as I had. You can just take your tokens and switch them out for something else. Hondo to give yourself tokens. And then Jaina's Light, because this is the best 2-point upgrade that you can put on these things. It's amazing. You can just put them wherever you need to, and no obstruction means that you're throwing tons of dice everywhere. Then he has a GR-75, medium transport, activation, can push squadrons around, can do what it needs to. For his objectives, he can use it to farm. 2 YT-2400s to hold off squadrons and do some damage on his own. And he has a 13-point bid, so he outbids me, and he gets to choose what's to go. Like, it's the last round. He goes second. I have to engage, and I have to kill him or do something, or I just automatically lose it. So he makes me go second, so he doesn't have to play my terrible, terrible objectives, which is sad. Oh, well. He has most wanted. Will not take that. Count how many ships that is that can shoot. That's 5. That's 5 extra dice against me every single turn. No, thank you. I need to survive because I just need to not be tabled. Abandoned mining facility. He has 6 ships, so that's 60 points per turn. Yikes. And then hyperspace migration, which is, I think, every other turn. But he pretty much can fly sideways across the board. And when he does that, he'll get like 120 points per turn or every other turn. So that's like I lose 10-1 if I take that because I will never be able to catch him. And then abandoned mining facility is really the only choice for me. And he's going to very easily outmine me. So I have to like mine as much as possible. And then hopefully he moves away from it. But if he really wanted to, he could just sit there and he could mine me out of existence. So that's the best option. It's kind of like how I feel when I hand my cards to people. Like, this is what they feel like. Like, this is the best of all these terrible options for me. So I ended up going with abandoned mining facility and then praying that his ships weren't going to be in range of me fast enough that he was just going to table me because he only needs to kill the Starhawk. The Starhawk's tanky, but with all these Akbar dice, like, that's a lot of damage. So here we go. I don't have the first picture. So this is the end of round 1. We're both mining. He's moving in formation, and my Starhawk's back here. My fighters, I've jumped in the middle. He's pulled his back, so we're not going to be able to engage right away, which I'm fine with. I figure if I engage him here, he's just going to flak me to death, so I'm not going to do that. This is Jaina's Light, and after the game we actually talked a lot about it, and his idea with this was he was going to move it around the side to try to make me choose, do I send my fighters after it, or do I send my fighters over here? And like in my head, I'm like, this is 100% a bait trap, because, you know, Akbar, it's a trap. And I'm like, I think I have to go for it. And I do, and actually make what I thought was a mistake, and I actually think it ended up winning me this game, which is a really weird thing to say, but on this turn, I move the Starhawk, and the Starhawk's shield dial lands exactly on here, so I don't move. And because of that, I stay back here instead of being like right here, and if you were to measure it, this ship would also have arc on me and range. So that's how close this game came to. Like, I made what I thought was a mistake, which wasn't a mistake, so we'll just pretend that it's like a good move, but it was 100% a mistake. I ran my own flotilla, and I stayed out of range. So now I have, I believe, side arc on here with all my squadrons coming in. I've already done some damage to it. It's barely alive. All my other stuff is just moving away. He has this, I don't know how he does it. The same thing, this is what Ken does. Like, all of his ships somehow maneuver, don't ram, and all have arc. Blah. So, next turn. These guys over here jump out, and with Lando's help, are able to kill Jaina's Light. Cool. That's one less ship that's throwing, like, 20 dice at me. These ships are coming around, and he rammed my flotilla because I rammed myself. Then I landed on here, did 2 damage, so he only needed to do 1 damage, killed that flotilla. This flotilla is going to try to get away, and then his ships are going to be shooting at me with Akbar. Basically, all of his ships are going to be long range of me, into me, with lots of blue die, with lots of red dice. Not good. I'm taking lots and lots of damage here. He was like rolling like 5 to 7 damage against me with each ship. The TRC is just brutal because like if you get a double inside your attack pool, and then you can just change another one, that's 4 damage plus whatever else your dice are. And with so many packets, like you think the MSU is going to be like packets of small damage, but this is like packages of big damage, and like I have very limited defense tokens. And actually, something interesting that I thought about while playing this game is when you consider what type of resources you have during the game, defense tokens are one of those resources. So for me, I had to manage my resources of defense tokens to try to keep them for as long as possible. So I had to like try to figure out how much damage I was taking, where I was moving the damage to, trying to keep my defense tokens for as long as possible, but also knowing that I might just need to chuck them out at any point to just stay alive. And he was doing the same thing with his defense tokens because he's using his defense tokens to power his attacks because of TRC and then mitigate my damage. So he did a really good job of like verse fighters and ships and my attacks of using his defense tokens so that usually when a ship blew up, it had no defense tokens left. So that's just side thought. Starhawk moves forward and his fighters start moving forward. This is his fighter here waiting to move into attack. I pin his other one down with Shara because that's what Shara does. And I hit this guy pretty hard, and these guys are coming around me. They have arc on me. So on the top of this turn, I believe I kill this guy off, do some damage to this guy, and everything else just kind of hits me. This is one of the best rolls I've ever seen, and it was like that pivotal moment. At this point, I think I have no more braces because I've chucked them all out. Like I said, I'm using them as resources. So my Starhawk is like right here, and he has just line of sight to my front. So my front has like 1 shield. My side has like, I'm going to guess 2 or 3 shields left, and I have no brace. And it was one of those things. It was like close to the line. I'm way too tired and nervous because this is like such an important match to really hold the laser. I think he has arc on it, so we just call over a judge, and the judge was like, "Could you remove your Starhawk?" I'm like, "I'm not touching it. You need another judge to come remove the Starhawk. I don't want to take the Starhawk off. I'm calling you over to make a very close call." It ended up being an arc, and I'm going to show you one of the best rolls that I've ever seen with no braces into the front of my Starhawk. He rolled a double, a double, a double, a crit, and this was a blank, and then he just TRC'd it to a double. So I'm like, I thought I was going to get away, and then I took 9 damage straight to the face. So I redirected, took out all my shields, contained it because of the stupid crit, and took 5 hull damage all at once from this. And I'm like, yikes. If he's able to get enough shots on me this last round, he's going to kill me. Like, if I can't take another 9 damage like that. That's insane. Yeah. So, this is what it looks like at the top, I believe, of turn 6 then. And what I'm going to have to try to do is I have to try to swing my Starhawk out like my butt, because I need to be out of range of this. I don't think I can escape this when you look at where this arc is. So wherever I end up with it is where I end up with it. I'm going to take another whatever that Akbar throws at me, which is going to suck. But I can hopefully avoid this guy so that I don't die. Because if he can get probably both of these onto me, I explode. I'm going to go back. Lando, like I've made fun of him, he only did damage when I tossed tokens, except for this round. He knew I really needed this, and this very, very injured one, it ended up moving over here. Lando came down and rolled a double and a blue hit, which he's never done before for me, to guarantee killing that. That's how that guy died. So fighters for me in this have been very, very useful. So this guy goes first, swings out to about here. This guy rams, kills my flotilla. Sad, but it was funny. I always like when flotillas kill each other. I kill his one fighter the turn before with my guys, and he shoots me and does an additional, it was like 1, 2, 3, 5 points of damage, so I survive. This guy, I moved just out of arc, so he flew over here, and then the end of the thing, he had his YT-2400 here on like 4 health. Shara misses. YT-24 or VCXs miss. And I need to pull in all 3 of these, all these fighters attack his squadron that was here to finally kill it. So that ended the game, and that was super stressful. And then, so it ended 281 for me, 161 for Jason, for 120 difference for a 7-4 in my direction. And I was just excited because I'm like, I think I pretty much am guaranteed then that World's invite. And I was very excited about that. I did not actually expect to win it. I just needed to not get tabled. So I was pretty excited about that. And then Jason's like, I think you win this. And I'm like, no, there's no way. And then I look at the score and I'm like sitting at 22 points. And then I start doing the math and I have to wait for Nick and Rob's game to finish. And if Nick got a 9 or a 10, Nick wins by MOV. And if Rob got an 8, 9, or a 10, he wins. So I had to like sit there and I'm like, I can't watch this. I just can't watch this. Like, if there's a chance for me actually to win this, just let them play it out and I'll find out afterwards. So their game went to time, and Nick won it 7-4, thank goodness. So I ended up winning. So the final score, I had 22 points with a margin of victory of 375. Nick came in second with his Onager list with 20 points, margin of victory 284. Jason came in third place with 19 points, 270. And then Rob came in fourth with 18 points and 400 MOV. Ryan Killed a Starhawk in the last game, which is pretty awesome. He's the only one to have killed a Starhawk the entire tournament, and there was 3 Starhawks to try to kill. And he came in 5th with 17 points. Nathan, the CIS player, came in 6th place with 16 points. And Ruben, the other Starhawk player, came in 7th with 14 points. Garrett, Admiral Tater, came in 8th place with 6 points, and he kept trying to kill all the hawks, and he referred to it as, I'm just going to YOLO myself across the board to see if I can kill it, and he just came up a couple damage short every time. So it was a fun tournament, and let's see, where is it? I've been playing with it. I got this fancy dancy trophy from 2020 because they haven't made any new ones. It's a black dice and it has an accuracy. So I've been joking with Ken that I'm going to roll this on him in our future games because, you know, I'll roll off with a demo, get a black accuracy. Other dice are crits and hits, and then kill his ships off with it. Or, you know, technically if it comes up with this, the game's immediately over because, you know, it says I'm the champion. It's just a silly dice. But more importantly, I got my world invite, so now I have to arrange with work to get that weekend off so I can go compete in the World Championships. So I'm really excited about that. I never expected to actually win a major tournament like this. So it's kind of a big deal. I was pretty excited. So actually I can now show you guys the pictures now that we're at the end of the different things. Hold on, let me flip through it. Where is it? Here it is. So this is everyone that got a world tickets because there was a bunch of people and it passed down. So a lot of people got world tickets. This is our judges that did a really good job. Let's see, which direction should I go? Here's our top 4. Myself, Nick, Jason, and Rob. And then just me holding my trophy. And then I told you guys I had a picture with all of the content creators. So here's a picture of myself and Ken with Krabik and then Ben. So I have this weird thing going on with my hands because they're like, you guys want to take off your masks? And we're like, sure, we'll take it off for a second. So they caught me right as I was putting my hands down. So it looks like I'm doing a little shimmer dance. So that's funny. And then we also have a picture of our command staff. So we have Ryan, myself, Garrett, Admiral Tater, Ken, and then in the background we have Nick, Griff, who is a really good player and just missed out making top 8 by MOV. And then we have a selfie of Ken and me earlier on in the tournament before anyone got there with the Armada sign. So we had a lot of fun. And that's the tournament. So I hope you guys enjoyed my talk and walkthrough of how it all went. Not exactly how I thought it was going to turn out. I honestly didn't think I was going to make day 2 after having to try to chase down MC30s the first day. And then I honestly didn't think I was going to win it. I just wanted to place top 4 and then ended up winning it. So super, super excited about that. I'm going to go back and look through chat. And if you guys have any comments or questions or anything like that, go ahead and hit me up there. Or even on the comments after the video, I'll be responding to it. So Robert says, yeah, having to agate brace away on 3 or 5 damage is really tough to deal with. It really, really is. And you're like, do I do it? I know that there's this one attack. He hit me with, Jason hit me in the front and it was like with like 4 points of damage. And it was either like I had to discard a brace or just hold the brace and take the damage. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, or it was 7 brace down to 4 or something stupid. It was just a lot of damage. And I'm like, you're going to need to give me a second because I need to decide if right now it's worth me reducing the damage with my redirect or if I'm going to just shift all the damage to the side and take out all my side shields. And I'm like, it's a hard choice. And Jason's like, you made it this far. Just go with your gut. I'm like, okay, we're shifting it. We're shifting all the damage to the side, and we're just gonna go there. I'm like, maybe he won't be able to get another ship to that side. That's what I was kind of hoping for, and it worked out well. Well, not well. I still took all those shields down. Robert, I don't blame you. I was playing so bad I wouldn't be able to watch that last game either. When you're playing at like that high competitive level, it gets mentally exhausting. Like that's actually one of the reasons why I'm glad we didn't play 4, because by that 4th game you're barely thinking clearly, and you make mistakes. So playing 3 rounds, by that 3rd your brain's fried. And after playing like 2 token farming games, then actually having to be like, okay, Jason and I are gonna rumble. Now I have to get real and start focusing in on it and dealing with damage and where I'm redirecting it. That was stressful. James says, man, I bet AMG won't let no dice be thrown in a game for long, especially 2 games in a row. I don't know. It's part of the game. I was hoping maybe we could have just, Jason and I, if he chose my objective, he could sat on his side of the board and I could have made that pure pacifist run and unlock that achievement to get to the finals. Robert says, just curious, what did you agate each game? I only added redirect instead of brace 1 game. I just stuck with my gut. And I added the brace every single time. I didn't have to face an onager, so a lot of times I might consider putting a evade in against an onager. But at the same time, I feel like the most important defense token out of all the defense tokens is a brace. And if I could pick any single defense token to have 2 of, it would 100% be a brace. So I would have to be like really, really convinced to take anything besides the brace on the Starhawk with agate. Mainly because like if they get an accuracy, then I have to chuck it and then I have to use Whalix early. I would rather use the 2 braces for that. I'm not going to take another contain. I'm not going to take another salvo. So it's really between, do I take 2 braces or do I take an evade? And even against an onager, I think I would stick with just 2 braces, so then you can't like intel officer it off right away. I can always use the other one or agate it. Like, I think 2 braces is primarily the best thing. Jason says math isn't real. Oh man, math is so difficult on that last game. Because you could, I think we were like, well, technically the last Akbar doesn't need to attack, and then we mathed it out right at the end, and I'm like, well, technically if you roll just like you did the last time, you kill me. So take the shot, and thankfully he didn't, double down on rolling nothing but doubles again. So I barely survived. I think I had like, let's see, we counted that was 6 damage, 2 shields, reduce it by 1. So I was on like 8 or 9 hull down on that Starhawk on the last turn. So I was hurting and no shields anywhere. So that was a tough game. What I liked about going to Gencon is everyone I was able to meet. There wasn't really a single person that I met and was like, I don't like that person. The Armada community is a great community, and it really brings us all together. We had a blast meeting everyone, talking about Armada. We had a huge part of the Chicago meta go down there, and even people that weren't playing came around. Like Dan, he already had a Worlds ticket, and he was there with a friend, and he just came out and would check in on games. And because we had 31 players that first round, he was there and he had his fleet, so he's like to the player that got a buy, like, do you want to play? And he ended up playing just a friendly game with the person that was on buy, just so that they weren't standing around for the entire time. So I think that was awesome for him to do. Meeting all the other content creators was a blast. Finally meeting Garrett and Ryan in person after we've been doing our podcast for almost 6+ months at this point, was really, really nice to meet him in person. And then to go out to dinner with people, that was a lot of fun too. I think we had 14 Armada players at a bar after the first day. So that was a blast, just hanging out with people and talking and things like that. No, it was a lot of fun. And I think that's more fun a lot of times than actually just playing in the tournaments. I'm not a big tournament player. You guys know that. I like changing fleets up, and now I've played this list like 12-ish times with practicing. So I don't really want to play it again. I don't like playing lists more than twice. So I've reached my quota on this list, so I'm going to be moving on to other things. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then just hanging out with Ken. Ken on day 2, because he didn't make it into the tournament. I think he played, again, Dan, and then he played a game against Downsize It. And it was great meeting people that were like, I wasn't going to compete in a tournament. I was watching your guys' channel, and my wife's like, hey, you need to compete in it. Why not? Just go for it. And that's great. And that's the part of Armada I think we should be focusing on, is building our communities, building our local metas, building our local player bases, coming together then at these big tournaments, and just being a giant community of Armada that spans the globe, because we have pockets of Armada players around the world that play, and we're all awesome. So we should do that. I think I'm going to call it a night here. I've been going on for almost 2 hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about the different fleets and the different stuff. Later on next week, the command staff is going to break down all of our Armada, because we have tons of different games and different things and different ideas to look at from fleets that we've seen. We all played. We all have different games. Ken and I played ourselves. I think we're the only matchup inside the command stack that played each other. And we have lots of stuff we want to talk about the tournament. So wait for that. Next week, our Rebellion in the Rim modified campaign with the Clone Wars starts up. So Ken and I are excited for you guys to watch that. And then this week in our weekly battle reports, we have, I think it's Martuk versus Akbar, the Battle of the Red Dice. So excited for you guys to see that. I'll probably do a Backseat Admiral on that on Sunday. So it'll be Sunday morning. So if you guys can catch it, you guys can tune into that. So I'm going to take one last look at the chat to see if there's anything else that popped up, and then I'm going to call it a night. Ryan J says, as someone just starting to play, what do you think are like the 2-3 strongest lists coming out of Gencon? That would be the Farmhawk. So I would say that each faction actually has a very, very strong set. I think right now the strongest list is the Farming Hawk. Let it be the normal Farming Hawk, or like what I have, which is the BT Hawk. Those lists you need an answer for. You need to be able to know for a fact that you can either kill it, outbid it, or out-farm it. And those things are a challenge. That puts a lot of, I've built my list, and you better have built your list on the other end up front, or this game's done. And so that's like probably the strongest. The other is Onagers are still decent, but like the Starhawk can just tank through the Onager. Agate's a hard counter to the Onager, and people have learned to fly around it. So if you have an Onager, you can still win. Nick proved that. Nick played very well with the Onager and placed second. Then you have MSU, and I'm going to include all the MSU all at once. Rebel MSU is clearly the best. But you also have CIS MSU, and the MSUs are very good at countering the Onagers and countering the Starhawks. Like you saw, Jason almost killed me off. And if he got like 1 or 2 more attacks into me, I was dead. So like my mistake, literally bumping into my flotilla, kept me out of arc of taking probably like 5 to 7 more damage that turn. That could have killed me. And so the MSUs can take the Hawks. You just have to have a plan up front on how to do it. So I want to say those are the 3 strongest list types right now. You got the Hawks. You still have the Onagers. and you have MSU, whatever brand of MSU, as long as you're throwing lots of dice at long range. So that's my opinion on that. But we'll dive more into that in the command stack episode, where it won't just be my opinion. You'll have 3 other opinions on that. So what's a good Thrawn loadout? I'm not necessarily a fan of Thrawn anymore. I've never really have been a fan of Thrawn. Like, Thrawn's good, but if I were going to bring a squadron ball to a game, I'm bringing Sloane and then just actually commanding my squadrons. So I don't really build Thrawn, but basically whatever my Thrawn build would be with Sloane, it would be the same, just with different commanders. Sloane allows you to come in with a higher bid and fill out more, and lean more heavily into like swarm attacks and TIE interceptors, while Thrawn, you're going to have to probably have more defender style ships, and then you can actually use bombers instead of just all the swarm anti-squadron stuff. So that's how I would differ it. So, okay. I think I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to me talk about this. Until next time, I'm John. This is the Backseat Admiral, and you've been watching Ion Radio.